WVUA-FM, Tuscaloosa.
Hello, everybody. This is WVUA 90.7 FM, The Capstone, and welcome to episode number 12 of the Full Court Press podcast. My name is Jamie Martinez, and I'm joined by Alex Chasen and Nick Atkinson. On today's episode, look forward to league news and our top 15 players aged 25 and under. We hope you enjoyed our last episode. Now, let's get into it.
I cannot believe we're already 12 weeks into this podcast. I feel like
crazy.
I feel like I'm just stepping in. August 10th, I left to come down to Alabama. I feel like August 10th, and I moved in like August 12th or whatever. Long drive, not that fun, but it feels like I just met you guys. It's crazy.
Yeah.
12 weeks into this. Almost the new year, almost Christmas time. Crazy. All right, let's jump into the news here. LeBron James, as always, he's 732 points away from number one, catching Kareem. He's injured, though. I think he's out tonight, I believe. So, it puts a little... Because I saw him, AD, LeBron...
Westbrook all last night. And they had a doubleheader, so I think they might not play until the day after tomorrow.
Yeah, so either put a little halt on his scoring, but either way, he's healthy. I think he's just having a rest night, like Nick said. So he'll be catching it, I think, by the All-Star break is what the prediction said on ESPN. Jumping into some more serious news, Robert Sarver finally sells the Phoenix Suns. The racist Robert Sarver. We all know the past. We don't need to jump into that. But he's finally selling the Phoenix Suns to a billionaire mortgage lender, Matt Ishiba, and they're finalizing the deal today for the Phoenix Suns and Mercury. Mercury, which I think is like the bigger company that he owns. Sources told Woj. Like I said, the deal is expected to be done very soon, either today or in the coming days. What do you guys think on this? I mean, it's expected. It's nothing like... But I think it's.
This guy's. If he's a mortgage lender, he probably, he's good with business and all that. So that's probably a good move as far as for the team. But he doesn't have any experience with the NBA team, so it's not good for a team that's contending.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it gets rid of that racist kind of stigma following the Suns when you had Sarver as your owner. So it puts him in a better light, which is, I think, good enough.
As far as the team, yeah.
Yeah,
I agree. You don't want that. And I just made a big oops because I said Mercury was like a company or whatever. That's the WNBA team in Phoenix. That just shows how much I watch the WNBA. My apologies to the WNBA fans listening. I will do better next time. But yes, that is the Phoenix Mercury, the WNBA team, and the Phoenix Suns, who now is owned or will be owned very soon by Matt Ishiba. Jumping into some better news, some great news. The great Dirk Nowitzki is finally getting a statue in Dallas with the Dallas Mavericks. No surprise. He's the best Mavericks player ever. Mark Cuban. He's probably one of the owners that everyone knows across the league for all good things. I'm not a huge fan of him. Sometimes it gets a little on my nerves, especially watching Shark Tank. He always pisses me off. And he says too much, or he's just kind of like a jerk. Anyways, besides the point, I'm happy for Dirk. He deserves this. He'll also be announced as a 2023 nominee for the Basketball Hall of Fame. Shout out Springfield, Massachusetts, where it is. All this is well deserved. This is great news. What are you guys' takes on this?
I think it's awesome. LeBron's father's finally getting a statue. It took long enough. He's an indefinite Hall of Famer. I think he should be a Hall of Famer this year. So, I think it's just about time.
Yeah, he should have been first ballot as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Greatest power forward of all time. Well, him and Tim Duncan.
Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
He's top 3.
Dirk wasn't even in our
number
top
2
10 all the time because it was on none of ours. Tim Duncan was, though.
Yeah, he completely missed my mind on that.
I think Tim Duncan was the only power forward that made my list anyway.
He was. Me too.
Dirk was in my honorables, so.
Yeah.
Jumping in some other good news, Damian Lillard. This happened last night, Monday night. It slipped. I feel like it slipped a lot of social media posts, though. Damian Lillard has become, I just mumbled his name. Damian Lillard has become the number one scorer all time for the Portland Trailblazers with 41 career points. Again, this happened last night in the third quarter of Monday night's game against the Oklahoma City Thunder. He passes the great Clyde Drexler, who had 18,040 points. And like I said, he becomes the franchise's all-time leader in points. Well-deserved for Damian Lillard. I'm not surprised he did this. The man, for a good chunk of his career, was averaging 25 points plus a game, if not around 30. It's not the same Damian Lillard we saw 2-3 years ago. He's had injury problems, been kind of declining a little bit just because he's not playing as many games, can't really get in as big of a rhythm. But with that said, well-deserved and no surprise.
Yeah, I agree.
Jumping to some injuries. There's a couple ones that, it sucks when anyone gets hurt, but there's a couple that aren't really as big as the last two I'll discuss. But the first two, Maxi Kleber out indefinitely with a hamstring issue. This is kind of a big hit for the Mavericks because, he's a versatile big, comes off their bench. Or does he start because Christian Wood comes off the bench?
He comes off the bench.
Isn't it JaVale?
Yeah, it's JaVale and Dorian Finney-Smith are the two big guys on the shot lineup.
But, this is kind of a loss for them, but they do have a lot of depth at that big man position.
He still plays.
Yeah.
It's definitely a big hit because, that's what they're lacking this season is defense. So, anytime that you lose one of your only plus defenders, it's just going to make your team even worse defensively. So
I agree. Chuma Okeke of the Orlando Magic underwent arthroscopic procedures on his left knee Monday and is expected to be out at least a month. This is not like the biggest loss for the Magic. The Magic just absolutely wiped the floor, swept the Celtics in a 2-game series up here in Boston. And Chuma Okeke obviously didn't play because he's been out for a little bit. He's finally underwent surgery. But this is not like a huge loss for the Magic. They're not going to miss a beat, obviously. They just won 6 in a row. Let's see what else they can do. But on the season, he's been averaging 5 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists in 22 minutes. That's not that good, honestly.
No, it's not. But he's a defender.
He's a defender.
All-star numbers.
Yeah.
All-star numbers right there, exactly. Now the serious injuries. Let's jump into them right here. Starting off with Anthony Davis. Nick has his hand on his head because now his boy Russ is not – it's just confirmed he's not getting his chip this year. But Lakers big man Anthony Davis apparently has suffered an injury December 16th in the win over Denver Nuggets, a foot injury, out at least 1 month. It started off as 2 weeks. He'll be reevaluated, and they're like, nope, it's now pushed back to a month. This is crazy, but no surprise. Before I clicked, record on our show here today, we're recording it tonight, but whenever you're listening to it, Jamie sent me the video, and I was like, what did I just watch? It literally just looked like his foot slightly banged into Jokic's leg, slightly wrapped around it, not even wrapped around it. Like it basically just like twisted like a normal foot. Just tapped it, and it bent like a normal foot. And supposedly that's where he got hurt. Jamie, what's your take on this? Because you're the one that sent me it, and you had.
Yeah, this is the most Anthony Davis injury I've ever seen. People like to poke fun at Anthony Davis for getting hurt on like stupid plays, like his bones are made of paper, but like this legitimately kind of proves that point. It's just you hate to see it. This really hurts that Lakers big three of AD, Westbrook, and Pat Bev, and so now you only have 2 of them. It's going to be Westbrook carrying the load now.
You're right. For me, I've really liked how Thomas Bryant has played this season. He's been like amazing this year. So I think to an extent you can be like, okay, you got Russ, Patrick Beverley, Lonnie Walker, and LeBron still. So it's like, you got and Thomas Bryant, you got Damian Jones, you got a lot of depth there at the big man for that reason because, they knew AD is, injury prone. So I feel like you can have a chance in every game at least. I don't know if they're going to win them, but we'll see.
Did it just slip your mind what Jamie said? Did you not hear it?
Yes, yeah.
That's facts. I don't even know who else would be in contention for that big three.
Of Pat, Bev, AD, and LeBron.
It's not LeBron. It's Westbrook.
Yeah, it's Russ.
Oh, you didn't say LeBron?
It's Westbrook.
Wait, what did you say?
He said big three of
Pat Bev.
Oh, I thought you didn't say Westbrook. That's why I thought it was funny.
Oh, no, it's not LeBron. It's
LeBron.
It's
LeBron. No, he sucks. LeBron sucks.
Kidding. Give me Lonnie Walker.
Jumping into our final news on the injury standpoint, Golden State Warriors all-time Hall of Famer point guard Stephen Curry has sustained a labral injury in his left shoulder and will be reevaluated in 2 weeks. Sources tell The Athletic and Stadium per the man himself, the Riz God, Shams Charania. What are your guys' takes on this? This is a big hit for a team that's been struggling overall, especially on the road. They're one of the best teams at home, and I think they still will sustain that because it's the Warriors. They have a lot of, backup. Jordan Poole, I mean, he's probably going to come and even average more points and probably play a little better. They still got Klay Thompson. You know the team. What are your guys' takes on this?
I mean, kind of just like you were saying, they got the second best backup point guard in the league, and I just feel like they're going to be okay, but I don't think they're going to win any games on the road. It's going to be tough because Curry's been the only person that's been able to do anything the whole season.
The one that lights the torch. He's the one that lights the torch.
Yeah, exactly. He kind of does what Draymond Green used to do because Draymond's just not Draymond anymore for some reason. But
I mean, I was just going to say, they still have guys like Klay and Draymond who can, light a fire. But Draymond is not going to score 40 points. Klay can, but that's not really his role anymore.
Catch and shoot strictly.
Yeah. It's just not really him anymore. I mean, he's still playing great, and you probably will step up, but it's definitely going to be Jordan Poole that has to start running that offense.
I agree.
Yeah, you lose a lot of that off-ball screen ability with Steph Curry, and I don't know if Poole brings that same ability as Steph. I know he's definitely not as good of a shooter. So, I mean, they might go 0-20 on the road for the rest of the season.
I hope.
Me too, man. Me too. We shall see. You ready to get into the main?
Yeah. We got our top 15 under 25. So I'm going to just jump into my honorable mentions real quick. I got Jalen Green, KPJ, Scotty, Ayton, and Paulo. There's a couple guys that are left off of that, but, I mean, I just feel like these guys will have a brighter future and kind of arguably are better than them a little bit. Maybe not KPJ, but the rest of those four, yeah.
All right. Jumping into my honorable mentions, I got Brandon Ingram, Desmond Bane, sorry, Nick, but Tyrese Maxey, Evan Mobley, and this one slipped my mind until Jamie said his name, but I got to add him, Anthony Simons. These are my honorable mentions. Jamie's shaking his head over there because I have some guys in my honorable mentions that are in his top 15, I'm assuming. But let's hear what you got to say, Jamie.
Yeah, I mean, on my honorable mentions here, I have Paolo Banchero, who's just number 16 for me. I was like really teetering putting him at 15, but he's the rook. I'll just leave him at 16 for now. Jaren Jackson and Evan Mobley, who I had on the list. Oh, no, Evan Mobley is on my list. Never mind. That should be Bam Adebayo. Bam Adebayo is in my honorable mentions, ladies and gentlemen. Never mind. And Lauri Markkanen. Don't forget him. Lauri Markkanen's on my honorable mentions, too.
That's crazy.
Not on mine. But I'll get us started with our real lists. I got Brandon Ingram at number 15, 25 years old. I'm very surprised he's that young still. It's kind of crazy. But he's still putting up around 21 and 5 in a down year on the second best team in the West now after the Grizzlies won the other night.
I think the Grizzlies are the best team in the West now.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's the second star on the second best team. There's no reason he's not in this top 15. For me, at least, he's a great scorer.
At my 15, I got Paul Banchero. I think he's deserved this, and here's why. I haven't really watched him a lot of the season. I've been seeing his stats, averaging around 22 points a game, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, somewhere in there. Well, seeing him play against Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, the whole Celtics team just proved to me this dude was NBA ready last year. Like, he didn't need college. He's already built. He's bigger than LeBron when LeBron came in. Like, he's just like a phenom. And I didn't really expect this coming into the NBA. Like, last year he was good, obviously really good in college. He had like some issues, like when he would sweat, he'd lose like 15 pounds per game, something weird.
Yeah, yeah.
That health issue got resolved, and whatever they're doing now, it fixed his issue. But with that said, I didn't realize he was going to be this good. And he's on a Magic team that has other guys like Franz Wagner, other capable guys. So actually, that guy slipped. He slipped my mind too. He could be an honorable mention, but I don't think he's quite there quite yet. But
yeah,
Paul Banchero, I mean, Bol has been doing really well. This team, there's a lot of shooters, a lot of scorers, and he's been number 1 on that team. So I got to put him at 15, and the future is bright. He'll be top 5 very soon. You're up, Jamie.
Oh, yeah, my bad. All right, my number 15, I have Anthony Simons from the Trailblazers. This might come as a bit of a surprise, but after seeing what he's done this year, he's really carrying the Blazers team with no Lillard. He's been out so much. He's averaging 23 points, 4 assists, and 3 boards on the season. So outside of the points, it's not anything spectacular, but he's one of the best young scorers in the league, and I don't think it's really very close. I mean, he really does it all. He could dunk. He's 6'3" at the 2 guard, can play the 1. He's just a do-it-all type of guy. I really like him. He should be an all-star, at least honorable mention or a, fan vote type guy. But, I think 15's fair. I kind of debated having him and Paolo at 15, but Anthony's been scoring pretty well for the last few years. I think Paolo will, take that top 5 spot sooner rather than later.
But we've discussed this in the past. He's got no defense, though.
Who?
I don't know, but
yeah.
Yeah, and he has no playmaking.
I think that scoring talks for itself.
I know, but Paolo's just overall. I don't know.
You got being that height, bro. You got to be able to, play make the ball.
I don't know. I just like him as a pure scorer. That's really all he needs to do. I think if the Blazers got a really good playmaker, send Westbrook to the Blazers. See what Anthony could do.
How you feel about that one?
Maybe. I don't know about that. Small backcourt.
Yeah.
But my number 14, I got Jaren Jackson Jr. He's 23 years old. Coming back from that injury, he's looked like, honestly close to the defensive player of the year. He's definitely top 5 in that race. He's always, since he came into the league, been one of the best defenders in the league. He also has a great 3-ball. He's shooting around 2 made with about 5 attempts this year, which is pretty good for a guy that was not a good shooter last year. And he's just really elevated his game while being injured. And he's made them now the best team in the West. So
at number 14, this is where I have Anthony Edwards. Before, when I was creating this list, I didn't even have him on here because I was going through 2K and I was going through the ages, which was the easiest way to look at it. NBA.com was not helping me out to try to find their ages. And then I was scrolling. I was like, this doesn't seem right. So I keep scrolling. Anthony Edwards is only an 85 overall, so I completely missed him.
That's crazy.
That just makes no sense. So I had to redo my list, tweak some things. And I have Anthony Edwards at 14, rightfully so. He's one of the best young shooting guards in this league. Fringe all-star. Because the West is so deep in their guards. In the East, he'd easily be an all-star, but the West is so deep guard-wise. Fringe all-star, maybe not, but either way, he's averaging 23 points a game. Cat's out. He's been taking over, him and D'Lo, but especially Anthony Edwards makes this list at 21 years old, and the future is very bright for this young cat.
All right, my number 14 spot, I have Evan Mobley from the Cleveland Cavaliers. One of the best young forwards in the league. He's really showing off why he was the second overall pick last year. Again, he's just a second-year guy, and he's still out here averaging 16 and 10 per game in a very loaded Cavaliers backcourt. He's sharing the paint with Jared Allen and Kevin Love, and he's still getting 10 boards a game. That's pretty special to me. I think given 5 years from now, I think he has that, Tim Duncan type potential. So, we'll see what he could do from there.
Just like Jamie, I got Mobley next. Everything that you said I agree with. I do see him more of like a Kevin Garnett type of guy. But, either way, just a great defensive young guy coming up, really making that power forward position come back to life.
I agree with all your points. Defensively, it's all theirs. Offensively, he's not quite as strong offensively as my guy at 13. Lauri Markkanen, 25 years old, just makes the list. He turns 26 relatively soon, so he's just making the cut. He's not 26 yet, so he's right here at 13. And I just think overall, offensively, this dude has completely upgraded from – especially last year. Last year was a weird year for him. And then the year before, his last year in Chicago, very weird. His last good year was like his sophomore year, which was 4 years ago. So he's finally turning into form. It's perfectly in this Utah Jazz system. And I got him at 13. What do you guys think about? Look, because I know neither of you guys really are very high on him. What do you guys think about this?
You go ahead, Jamie.
I am pretty high on him, actually. I like Lauri. He's been really good, most improved potential. He's a candidate, but I just don't see him as, top 15. I just think there's some other guys that slightly beat him out. No shade at Lauri. He's been balling out, but, I just don't see him as top 15 yet.
Yeah, me neither. I just feel like he's a good scorer, like you said, but the defense is just kind of lacking a little bit. If he can improve that, he has no reason to not be in this conversation.
Yeah, I can see that. It's just his offense is so powerful. I don't know. For me, he just
Definitely.
makes it.
All right, at my 13th spot, I got LaMelo Ball. It's a little low, but I just think there's a few guys that are, just a tad better. Coming off of his rookie season, he was just fantastic. He's a passing master. He could score the rock. But I think missing Miles Bridges has hurt his averages a little bit, as well as the winning totals. So that also plays a bit of a part into it. He's been injured a lot starting this year. He did come back against Sacramento and had 6 assists in the first 5 minutes. So, I mean, he's really showing why he's one of the top young guys in the league. I mean, shoot, a few years, he could be top 10. I think if you would have asked me this last year, he would have been top 10.
Yeah.
But injuries started off a little slow. He's picking it back up now. So, LaMelo Ball at 13, I think is fair.
Yep. At my number 12, I got my guy Maxey. I don't think either of y'all had him in y'all's top 15. I mean,
I do.
And I mean, oh, you do? Okay, word. He's just such a good scorer. He can facilitate the ball, shoot the ball. He can do everything on the offensive end. He's even a great defender at his size. I feel like, if he didn't have the injury, there's no doubt he's in this, conversation. So, yeah, he's also – without him, the Sixers' offense has looked very stagnant, and I have not liked the way that we've been playing recently. It's just a bunch of ISO basketball between Harden and Embiid. So I think that he adds so much onto our team that we're missing.
You just reminded me. The reason why I don't have Desmond Bane or Tyrese Maxey in here, because they easily could be, and if you ask me this 13, 16 games in, they would be on here, is because they've been injured.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I don't know if they were going to keep up with Desmond Bane 24 points a game, for Tyrese Maxey 22 points a game. I don't know. We don't know until they come back if they're going to keep up those hot starts they had at the beginning of the season. So that's the only reason why I don't have him on here. But now I'm going to sound like a hypocrite because I have Jaren Jackson Jr. on here. He's only played 13 games, but this is why I have him on here. It's because he's coming into the season. All right? Those other guys left the season with injuries. Jaren Jackson Jr. has improved from last year just by coming into the season. He's averaging 3 blocks a game. No one else is doing that. I think behind him is like Mobley with like 2 maybe. Or I'm sure Embiid's up there somewhere.
It's Brook Lopez.
Brook Lopez, which that's surprising. But no one else is averaging 3 blocks a game, 17 points a game, and around 8+ rebounds, I believe. So this dude is all over the floor defensively. He has turned this Grizzlies team from pretty good to now I just saw the recent power rankings from the NBA to the number 1 team in the league, power ranking wise.
Wow.
Number 1 team record wise in the West. So he's completely transformed this team defensively. Offensively, he helps out, but obviously that's Jaw's role. And I cannot wait for Bane to come back because this team is scary. But especially defensively, Jaren Jackson Jr. is holding it down. 23 years old. I got him at 12.
Yeah, most definitely. At number 12, I have Jaren Jackson's Memphis brother in Desmond Bane. I know they've both have a minimum sample size, and Bane in 12 games played this season is averaging 25, 5, and 5 on 45% shooting, 46% from 3. So, I mean, he was balling out before the injury. I feel like it would just be purely disrespect to leave him off. He was in the middle of an all-star season. He was one of the top scorers in the league. Great defender. Mr. Muscles was killing it alongside Ja Morant. And it sucks that he had to get injured because he was most definitely going to be an all-star. But I feel like, nonetheless, he's still one of the top 25 or top 15 players at that young age. So I had to give him his flowers.
How confident are you in that, though? That's the only reason why I just couldn't do it for him and Maxey, because they could have cooled off.
In keeping up with his stats?
Yeah.
I mean, he was shooting 45% from both the field and 3, so I feel like it was a pretty good chance. Plus, the Grizzlies have been heating up ever since, so I feel like with Bane there, they would just be doing even better.
I feel like I agree with that, but I feel like with Maxey, I mean, he just plays his role so good that there's no way he would have slipped in any way. All he has to do is make 4 threes a game, play defense, and score clutch buckets. That's really it.
I hope I'm wrong, because when those guys come back and if they start playing the same way, they'll definitely get back into the top 15. That's just my take on it for right now.
Yeah, it's valid. I got Bane at number 11. It's a little high. I kind of feel like right now it is a little high, but just like Jamie was saying, he was an all-star. He was an all-star before he got injured. Playing like a top 5 shooting guard in the league. He's definitely a top 5 shooter in the league and defender. He just adds so much to that Grizzlies team, like that they would be missing if they didn't have him. So
at number 11, I have the 25-year-old. Excuse me. Every time, for some reason, my voice just starts cutting out at the most random time. Anyways, 25-year-old center for the Miami Heat, Bam Adebayo. You guys are thinking this crazy because I don't think he's on either of your lists, right?
Nope.
He's in your honorable mentions, I believe. Right? Okay. The reason why I have him is everyone's saying, he's having a terrible year, a down year. From behind the arc, yes, he is not shooting as well. I think he's only shooting, I believe, like 100%. Not like 100% actually, but like when you look at like the
10%.
10%, yeah, but like it's like 1-0-0.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
right one of the dumbest things I've ever said. Because if you look at the shooting percentage, say he's shooting like 33%. It's like 3-3-3-3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. My brain.
It's like 0.100. Yeah.
100. A dyslexic moment.
Yeah. For sure.
Keep moving. But anyways,
Chilling.
he shoot like 10% from behind the arc, which obviously is not great. Versus in previous years, he's shot like 22, 33%, which isn't great, but it's a lot better than now. But he's still having a better year statistically. 20 points, 10 rebounds. Last year was around 18 points, 10 rebounds. So he's playing a little bit better scoring-wise, carrying this offense when Jimmy's out. Tyler Hero doing his thing, but not nearly as well as I thought. I thought he would have jumped up to like 26, 27 points a game, but he just hasn't. He's basically the same as last year. But with that said, Bam's presence is just so important for this Miami Heat team. I got him at 11.
That's a very fair argument. But at number 11, I have Ant-Man, Mr. Popeyes himself, Anthony Edwards, out in Minnesota. This season is honestly spectacular. He's putting up better numbers than I thought. 23 points a game, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals, which I didn't see coming. I didn't see him as that great of a defender, but he's out there, doing it on defense. I thought he was a little lackluster. I don't know why I thought that, but I mean, based off these numbers, I mean, half a block, can't complain. He's playing great. Like what Alex said earlier, he's definitely an all-star in the East, but in such a crowded Western Conference, he's probably just going to be just short. Again, he's only what is this, year 2 or year 3? This is year 3.
He's 21.
Yeah, he's only 21. This is year 3 for him. So, I mean, there's plenty of time for him to improve, and this is his team now. Sorry, Kat.
I agree.
Sure. I got LaMelo at number 10, the second best player in the 2020 draft class. He's just such a good playmaker. He's carries that offense. They'd be nothing without him. Even if they had Miles Bridges, this would be an even worse team than they are now. But I don't know. I feel like if you don't have somebody surrounding him, it's not going to go good for the team. He's kind of like Westbrook in that way. If he doesn't have a team, it's not going to go so well.
I also have LaMelo at number 10, the 21-year-old rising superstar LaMelo Ball. It just sucks because, he's been plagued with injuries coming into the season, came back, freak accident, landed on a fan, twisted his ankle, out again for another month. Really, I don't even know if he's played more than like 12 games this season. I don't even know the exact, but he hasn't played enough of a sample size to really, I think if he played this whole season, he might make the top 8 or 7. But just based on the time he's been playing, and then obviously last year, he's a top-level talent in this league from 25 and under, and just overall at any age range. But like I said, especially Miles Bridges is a huge loss. The Lob City 2.0 died very young, sadly. But, we'll see. I mean, he still has other, good guys around him, but not the same as Miles Bridges. And that tandem was really growing together very, very, very good.
All right, at my number 10, Nick, you're going to love this. I got Tyrese Maxey. I'm very high on Maxey. He's averaging, again, he's one of the injured guys, but in the sample size we saw from him, he averaged 23, 4 and 4 with a steal as well. Only 2 turnovers as well. Shooting 42% from 3, and what's this? Around 50% from the field. So he was just, playing spectacular. There was plenty of instances where he was flat out carrying that Sixers offense.
Yeah.
When James Harden wasn't stepping up, hucking up too many shots, Maxey was right there to back him up and get an easy bucket, lead the team back into wins. And when Joel Embiid was playing very poorly at the very beginning of the season, when he was hurt for a little bit, Maxey was right there to pick it back up, carry that team to a few wins. He ends up getting hurt, which kind of sucks because, again, he was another all-star candidate in the East. So I think number 10 is a very good spot for him. I have him a bit higher than you guys do, but I think he's very well deserving.
A lot higher.
I agree. I agree with that, with him being there 100%. But number 9, I got Anthony Edwards, kind of just like y'all were saying. He's a very surprising defender, but he's just such a good defender. He plays with full effort on the court. He's kind of like a way better Patrick Beverly, just as far as he got, we got that dog in him. He just knows when to put his full out onto the court. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, he's really beginning to take over the team, and I'm all for it.
Number 9, this may be a surprise, but I got Darius Garland. He's been kind of quiet.
Yeah, that's crazy.
As like a name discussed. He's averaging 20 around 20 points a game. And I had no clue until I look at the stats, 10 assists. And he's fighting for points with, someone named Donovan Mitchell, one of the best scorers in the league in the past 10 years. Just offensively, his game is just amazing. He's fighting for points with him. And then obviously Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, Kevin Love off the bench, all these other scorers they have, Karis LeVert. So this is not just a easy task, this average 20 points a game. And then on top of that, 10 assists, which is very slept on. No one's talking about that. He's playing phenomenal this season, only 22 years old. I'm very happy to see this out of him, and I got him at number 9.
At my number 9 spot, I also have Darius Garland for the exact same reasons. The 10 assists, he's averaging 20.6 points per game. Very great field goal percentage. And the Cavaliers are a team that's injured fairly often. They can't keep that entire team on the court. But when Garland, doesn't have that help of the entire team, he's out there and he can carry the team offensively, which is why he's averaging so many points. But when that team is full together, he's really dishing the rock. I think he's the second best passer in the league, right behind, my next guy. But, I really love Darius Garland. He had an emergence last year. He really showed out last year, and he's carrying it on to this year. He's balling in every facet of the game. The Cavs would not nearly be as good without Darius Garland.
I agree.
And I'm assuming who your next guy is, Tyrese Halliburton. The best playmaker in the game, for sure. He's averaging 11 assists per game, which is crazy. And, he's right there, like 8th, 9th seed in the East, the best conference in the league, with a not so talented roster as far as veteran talent, but he's leading that team to be one of the better teams in the East. So I think there's no reason for him to not be, right there with De'Aaron and SGA.
Mm-hmm.
At number 8, jumping into some controversy, but that's what we like. We like it spicy in the FCP podcast. I got De'Aaron Fox at number 8, the 25-year-old, hopefully all-star this year, point guard. Jamie's shaking his head. I'm sorry. At number 7, I got a guy who may have been named already by the previous guy named Nick Atkinson may have named him, but I'll say it when we get around the horn again. I'll say who I got at 7, but let's talk about De'Aaron Fox. He's having a phenomenal season, but this is nothing new. He's done this in past seasons. He just hasn't gotten recognition until now because the team is over 500, playoff team. Jamie's, loving that I'm giving the Kings love right now. But
at the beam.
With that said, he's not quite as good as the next guy, but I'll get into it again. It'll be easier to discuss my whole argument when I can get to number 7. But when I can just say De'Aaron Fox, I can't really give the whole holistic view. So I'll let Jamie go with his number 8.
Well, my number 8 is actually Tyrese Halliburton. So the best passer in the game, and I don't really think it's too close. He's the leader in assists with 10.7. He's also averaging 20 points a game, 1.7 steals, so he's getting it done defensively, 4 rebounds. So he's the best player on that Pacers team, and it's not close. He carries that team to wins, hardcore. I got to give my brother love, former Sacramento King. Hate to see him go. But he, to me, is the most impressive player in the league. I think we like to talk about how, we haven't seen this type of passing since Chris Paul, back in those days. I actually think his assists are a little more impressive than Chris Paul back in those days.
Yes.
Because back in those days, it was a more passing league. We saw more of those type of statistics, those 10-plus assists a game from guys like Chris Paul, Darren Williams, Steve Nash, Russell Westbrook. But now it's only Halliburton and Darius Garland. It's just 2 guys. So in my eyes, with Halliburton, averaging 11 assists a game, that is much more impressive than, what Chris Paul did back then. So I think Halliburton, to me, is the most impressive player in the league. But, he's not getting, scoring numbers. The team's not winning a ton. So, he'd easily be top 5 if his team, was out there winning games. But, again, it's a very, very impressive what he's doing out there in Indiana.
Except the last 15 seconds of your argument, you basically just stole my whole thing, but it's okay. I'll rehash it in a minute.
Yeah. At number 7, I got De'Aaron Fox. It's like almost 6A, 6B with him and Garland. De'Aaron is obviously the only thing that really put it down is the win record. That's about it. De'Aaron's a way better scorer. He's better defender, better clutch player. But Garland just outweighs that a little bit for me as far as just passing the ball. So that's why I got De'Aaron at 7.
All right, I'm ready. I can finally do my whole thing here. So I got De'Aaron Fox at 8, as I just mentioned. Number 7, I got his brother, Tyrese Halliburton, the 22-year-old at 7, and here's why. Who's averaging 20 and 11 in this league? No one, except Tyrese Halliburton. Okay.
Almost.
Right. But how good would the Cavs be without Darius Garland?
I think the Cavs will be better with Tyrese Halliburton than Darius Garland.
Oh, yes, 100% they would.
I agree. I'm saying how good would the Cavs be without Darius Garland if he didn't exist? They'd still be good.
They'd still be good because Donovan Mitchell, he can facilitate the basketball.
Well-built team, everything. How good would the Pacers be with? Obviously, the Pacers, I think they're around 14. They're hovering around 500, give or take. But how good would the Pacers be without Tyrese Halliburton?
Ben Mathurin will be putting up 40 with 0 wins right now.
Yeah, exactly. Tyrese Halliburton is the Indiana Pacers. He's the only reason why they're hovering around 500 right now. I'm very scared for tomorrow when the Boston Celtics play the Indiana Pacers because we either are going to just lose, by 2 points, lose by a lot, or we're going to win by some margin that I couldn't really give you right now. But either way, I'm very scared for tomorrow night because Tyrese Halliburton is just an unstoppable force. His 6th grade middle schooler goggle guy that shoots from his
Jalen Smith,
Sean Marion looking bullet shot, the whole weird thing going on there, but he makes it. But he's also averaging 11 assists on top of that, dishing the rock to who knows who, Aaron Nesmith, all right, or Benedict Mathurin.
Andrew Nembhard.
Buddy Hield, I'll give him his credit. I like Buddy Hield, but, this team would be nothing without Tyrese Halliburton. Just gives him the edge over Fox just a little bit. Obviously, Fox is averaging around 3 more points, but he's not averaging nearly as many assists as Tyrese Halliburton. And his defense is impeccable as well. He does it all. I don't know. For me, it's very close, but I got to give him the edge.
Yeah, it's fair. However, at my number 7, I have Light the Beam, greatest Sacramento King of all time, greatest player of all time, De'Aaron Fox. He's just continuing to do what he's been doing for the last few years. This year, he's averaging 23. 6 assists, 5 rebounds, a steal, and about half a block. So he really does it all for this Kings team. When he doesn't play, it really shows. The team plays a lot slower. The pace, it doesn't look as good. Less shots are falling. And, when your team captain's gone, it's just not going to go as well. De'Aaron Fox has been the leader of that team for probably the last 5-6 years. And so he comes back last night, 37. And, he's just a certified baller. I think statistically, I think last year he had the greatest season of all time when it comes to shooting under the basket, beating out Hakeem Olajuwon. And so, I think, that in itself is enough to put him at number 7. He's the fastest player in the league, probably the best player in the league under the basket, the most clutch player in the league. And without him, the Sacramento Kings would not be, lighting the beam very, very much.
I agree. And to add on to that a little bit, I think that it's kind of ridiculous that there's been no sort of recognition for him as being clutch this season. Yeah. And I think it'd be absolutely I'm trying to think of the word, but I guess disrespectful for him to not get that, the clutch player of the year award. That has to be him. Yeah, blasphemy. Yes. It'd be blasphemy if he did not get that award, bro. That's just that's crazy if he doesn't get that.
He's averaged 20-plus points a game for the last 4 years and no All-Stars to show for it.
I think that's ridiculous.
Stupid. That's all I got to say.
Like I kind of just said, I got Garland at 6 just because he's leading a team. He's not necessarily leading the Cavs, but, he's on the much better team than Fox. I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards putting Fox over Garland right now, kind of just because of what Jamie said. But I'm gonna just stay true to what I said. Anyways, Garland, he's just a good playmaker, one of the best in the league, the second best currently, I guess. And I just think that y'all would say he's the leader of that team, or Donovan Mitchell?
Probably Donovan
Mitchell.
I don't know. It probably is Mitchell. He's been deep in the playoffs.
Realistically, it's probably Kevin Love, but it's probably, Donovan Mitchell if you're going to go with one of those guards.
Yeah, I agree.
My number 6, Trae Young. And I don't really love this, but it's you have to put him in your top 15. I just don't, but he's only shooting 29% from 3 on the year. He's been really ice Trae, but in a negative way.
Yeah.
Last night he did have 37 points, 3 for 7 from 3, which is not bad, but
it's
probably going to be he's probably going to be 5 for 7 for 3 usually, or 5 for 10. But one thing that's also gone under the rug, he's also averaging 10 assists. Did you guys know that?
Yeah. He's always been a pretty, decent playmaker.
He has, but we were just I just forgot. It slipped my mind when we were talking about Halliburton and Garland about the 10 assists. But Young's doing the same exact thing. 27 points a game, 3 rebounds, 10 assists. Like I said, only 29% from 3, which is not good at all. But hopefully starts turning the corner. But he just has to be on here somewhere, just based off his scoring and playmaking. I mean, he has to be on here. But if he was shooting like 30-something% from 3, like how he usually has been in the past, he'd probably scratch the top 5. But he just can't do it right now.
Definitely. I mean, at number 6, I also have Trae Young. Trae Youngington is one of the best, young guys in the league. Steph Curry 2.0 is at least what they want us to think. As of this year, he's not really showing that. Like what you said about his shooting totals, just not looking very good percentage-wise. But again, he's still putting up points. He's putting up assist totals, and he's leading the wins. With DeJounte Murray being out, it's really going to be on him for that team to win games. I haven't really seen the record, so I'm not sure how they're doing, win-wise. But again, he's one of the most clutch players in the league. He's no De'Aaron Fox, but he's certainly up there.
16.
What was that?
They're 16 and 15.
All right.
And
they're above 500. Yeah.
They just beat the Magic.
They're playing. I mean, that's something the Celtics couldn't do. So, shout out to Trae Young. So we'll see what he can do from now on.
Yeah, I got SGA at number 5. He's leading that OKC team, to the 13th seed, But, he's doing Russell Westbrook right by, have another star point guard there. I do not think he's better than some of the guys I have just because of purely the team. I feel like this is disrespectful a little bit because I do like SGA. But I feel like once all those pieces are there, he's going to have to take on a lesser role. And, but maybe not because Giddey is a pure playmaker. So maybe SGA can, go out there and score 30 points per game over the next 5 years. But I don't know. To an extent, I just feel like he's going to – those points might slip once they're like, fully developed. Chet, Jalen Williams, and whoever else is going to be on the starting lineup here in the next few years.
I see you got a picture of Big Ben in the back of you. You're Big Cap right now. There's no way. He's got no. I have Zion at number 5. SGA is way up the board. I got Zion at number 5. The 22-year-old LeBron Jr. ? I don't know. We'll see. Definitely a turnaround season though for not playing obviously at all last year, but not as good as the year before when he was an All-Star. I mean, he'll be an All-Star this year, but he went from averaging 27 to 25. Whoop-de-doo, not that big of a deal because he is sharing the rock now with another top-tier scorer with CJ McCollum and then still BI. Still other guys across the board that have to score, but he's just one of the most. He's like a Shaq, a mini Shaq. You see Zion, he's humongous. Imagine calling someone a mini Shaq, but he can also shoot. A little bit. Obviously, he's not the best shooter, but
he can shoot pretty good.
He's shooting 33% from 3. I'm not sure on how many attempts, but he's making them relatively well. It's just his presence in the paint is just nothing like we've seen before, besides someone like a Shaq. So I got him at number 5.
All right, my number 5 spot, I also have Zion Williamson, and I don't really like what you said about calling him LeBron Jr. because LeBron is just Zion Jr., and we all know that he's one of the best young guys in the league. He's very young, coming out of Duke. We all knew what he was going to do. We all saw those Zion Williamson high school mixtapes. We knew he was going to be a menace, and he's really showing it off now. We also all questioned if he was going to, put up the same numbers as he did his rookie year coming off of his injury, and he's showing exactly who he is, carrying those Pelicans to a whole lot of wins. Mini Shaq is a very good comparison though. I really like that. He's very dominant under the basket, but he also does bring a little bit of shooting, some great defense. So Zion, he could go down as a top 5 power forward of all time. Who knows?
Just got to keep staying healthy. That's what we pray for.
Mm-hmm.
I got Trae Young, Trigger Trae at number 4.
So who's not on your list then, man? Someone's not on your list. Well, I'll let you continue. Keep going.
Oh, no. Tell me real quick.
Well, no, because I don't want to give up my list. So you just keep going.
Just keep going.
Just keep going. We'll figure it out.
Just go.
Okay.
Figure it out.
Anyway, Trae Young, I think a lot of people have been forgetting that he led that like terrible Hawks team to the Eastern Conference Finals 2 years ago. And he also took a game. Didn't they take a game against the Bucks or 2 games? I mean, it was a pretty contested series. So I mean, I think people quickly have forgotten about that, and you know. He's still one of the best young point guards in the league. He's an all-star for sure. He's always been able to stay healthy. He's a great playmaker. He knows how to score the ball anywhere on the court, despite his height. And I think that's like he's kind of like James Harden a little bit. He's one of the best players in the pick and roll. He can shoot the ball. He's gonna, rack up 10 free throws in a game, but he's just really skilled at, doing that.
At number 4, I got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the man himself, SGA. I agree with Nick with what I believe it was Nick that said it previously. Like he's just doing this because all the guys around him really haven't been as fully as he has. I can agree to that to an extent, but either way, he's still averaging 32 points a game. I mean, he still has some help around him. He has serviceable guys around him. I mean, they're still NBA players, but I do agree to an extent with what you're saying. I don't really have too much to add. Nick kind of said it all, but I will say most improved player by far. I don't really see anyone else. There was a few guys that were hanging around him a little bit, but SGA has completely taken over that leaderboard for most improved player, without a doubt.
I agree.
I just hope maybe they can sneak into the 10th seed. I doubt it, but the West is so close. Like from 10 to 3, it's like there's like a very minimal difference.
Yeah, the Lakers are 6 games away from the first seed.
Exactly, and the Lakers are kind of falling apart, especially with the AD injury. And they're were they like 13 and 17?
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Free Russ.
Oh, free Russ, damn right. So with that said, I mean, let's see if they can sneak into the 10th seed, and then maybe that'll change Nick's mind over there that they're just it's a bad team with a good player. But we'll see what happens there.
All right. It looks like me and Alex have extremely similar lists because next up I have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Shai, I don't know, whatever it is. He's a baller. One of my personal favorite players in the league. He really carries that Thunder team. They don't win a ton of games, but I'm pretty sure they'd have 0 wins if Shai wasn't on that team. He's averaging just about 30 points a game. He's getting the assists. The defensive numbers are up. The rebounds are up. He's going to win the Most Improved Player award. He's an MVP candidate in my eyes. Even though they're not winning games, I definitely think the numbers speak for itself. I think Nick kind of robbed him on his list. He definitely should have been at least top 5. He's going to be an all-star. He's easily one of the best young players in the league. And, with as many picks as the Thunder have, I would low-key like to see him get traded because I know the Thunder aren't going to need his, aren't going to need him within the next few years. They're going to have Chet. They're going to have, whatever 6th graders they draft. So I feel like, SGA a few years from now would have a great amount of success on a team that needs, his duties.
But I think
nonetheless, I got him at 4. He's one of the best in the league.
I think they can start contending. With their talent, I think they can start contending. So I'd keep them.
I don't know. It just depends on who they draft, at what positions, They have so many picks, you don't know what could come out of that. But, if that comes to fruition, if, their draft picks don't come out to be all too great and they're still playing with, Chet, Shai, whatever the Australian dude's name is, because I'm forgetting, Josh Giddey, they could definitely be contenders with Shai.
If anything, though, in my opinion, I'd package those picks to get like a superstar to pair with Shai and then Josh, like a big man.
That's personally what I would do, but at the same time, we're talking about the OKC Thunder.
Yeah,
I mean they've done that before. I mean, we're talking about
best GMs in the league.
Yeah, he is. He got got 2.
But he also traded Paul George right after he was about to win an MVP.
No, Paul George just wanted out of there.
You wanted to go to LA. Can't really fault.
Yeah, Paul George wanted out of there. He drafted.
We'll see, because SGA, you never know.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I mean, it was a trade for the Thunder, though. If you look at it, they won the trade.
It was.
I agree.
It was.
I wish that Russ and him could play together. They would play if 2020 Russ and him, they would have went crazy, bro. Just like as far as a playmaker like that beside SGA, they had Al Horford, all them guys. That would have been a really good team.
Al Horford never played a minute, but I mean, imagine if he did.
Oh no, if he played with Russ though, Russ, him, Steven Adams, whatever. Oh, Danilo Gallinari, yeah, that's a good team right there.
Definitely.
Number 3, I got Ja. Second best player out of South Carolina in the last five or so years. what gives me the edge for him above, just about every other young point guard in the league is just how he's been able to carry that team better than Luka has been able to carry a team. Granted, Luka has not had any sort of talent like Ja has had, but Ja has been able to consistently over the last 3 years have his team be a top 5 team in the Western Conference, and the West is always a like fluctuating, like how I just said, the Lakers are 6 games away from the first seed. Like it's always just it's a very tight and weird race in the Western Conference. So
I figured out why we thought someone was missing. You have a 1A and 1B. I saw you. I just
Oh,
because I was just like, who's not on here? Because you didn't say because what are we at, number 3?
yeah,
And then I'm like, who's not on here? But then I'm just looking. You have a 1A and 1B. All right, so disregard the conversation like 10 minutes ago because
I was confused about that too.
I was so confused. But jumping into my number 3, what's his name, Jamie? Demetrius
Jamel Morant.
Demetrius, thank you. Demetrius, Jamel, probably Jamal, but I'll take your word for it. Jamel Morant, the Grizzlies, number 1 player.
No, it's Jamel. It's Jamel.
Very interesting.
It's Jamel.
The 23-year-old Ja Morant, he has turned into one of the best point guards in the league, which is no surprise. I mean, a surprise in college, but when he got drafted, no surprise. He is a Derrick Rose mini version that hopefully can stay healthy, but can also, well, let me finish there, Nick, but also a way better shooter and can facilitate. But it's more like his athletic ability around the rim. It reminds me of a young Derrick Rose pre-injury. He can jump, and then if he decides not to dunk, he can scoop and take a layup, all within the matter of a second. He can do it all just like a young Derrick Rose. Like I said, a better shooter, better playmaker, and a crazy blocker on defense. Like his perimeter defense is, pretty good. Obviously, he's a young, shifty guard, but it's really his blocking ability at the rim for anyone from point guard to center. No one like him doing that at the point guard position, and I got him at number 3. He's going to probably be the number 1 point guard here. I don't know, because that number 1, if you want to call him point guard, shooting guard, he'll probably take the cake. But he'll be a top 2 point guard whenever Curry decides to cool down.
Yeah.
All right, number 3, I also have Demetrius Jamel Morant. He has been a fantastic pick for Memphis. He's averaging 27, 7, and 7, all on great splits. He's just one of those guys where if you took him off the team, it's a pretty poverty team. John Morant's just been doing it forever. He's fantastic around the basket. He's really improved from beyond the arc as well. He's a great defender, like what you said. He has bunnies. He could block anybody under the basket, no matter if you're 7'2" or 6'2". He's going to contest you, and he's probably going to block you. He's a top 3 guard. I think so.
Yes,
he's a top 3 guard right now. He's number 3 behind Luka and Steph.
Yeah.
I was just thinking based off the Western guards overall, and I was thinking about him on Western Conference placings. He's not a starter just because Luka and Steph are in the West.
Yes, he's a number 3 though.
Yeah, in a few years from now, when Steph decides to hang up the shoes, John Morant will definitely be that number 2. So give him a few years. John Morant is going to be a Hall of Famer.
I agree. I got Zion at number 2. This is crazy, but bro, Zion is being disrespected so much by the NBA and their fans, right? And just, our fans, all that right now. Like, how is he not in the MVP conversation? I think that's crazy. Top 2 in the Western Conference, 6 points per game. They have begun to put him at the center, give him some center minutes, and he's been dominating whenever he's been at center. It just allows for kind of a 7 seconds offense and lets them get down the court, go ahead and transition, allow him to get some easy buckets and just dominate the big guys down there. And I just think that it's kind of ridiculous that he's not even in the top 5 of MVP. And he's, has the 4th best team in the league, and he's the best player on that team with no playmaker. It's crazy to think about that.
Interesting.
Yeah, what y'all think?
It's very interesting. I don't know. I mean, it's a very good point. I mean, in my opinion, from 3 to 5. So Ja, SGA, Zion, and even Trae Young. I'll do that from 3 to 6. I feel like they're relatively interchangeable. But I don't know. I think just Ja and SGA just have the edge over Zion just based off everything they do on the court, from passing, defense, scoring. I don't know. I just think it's very close. Like I said, from 3 to 6, it's very close.
Yeah.
I just think John Morant, John Morant puts up 37 and 7, and they have basically the same record, but John Morant's putting up better stats. So I think that's why I have Morant over Zion. And then same with SGA. Even though they're not winning as much, his stats are one of the best in the league. So I don't know.
I mean,
it's a good argument though.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you can say this about so many different people. If you put them on, I mean, obviously not the Grizzlies. They'd be a really weird team if you had him on the Grizzlies. But if you had him on Thunder, he'd be probably doing 32 points per game, just like SGA.
Definitely possible.
But I don't know. I'm kind of leaning. I don't know. I just think Zion is so good. I think he's one of the top 5. I think he's one of the top 12 guys in the league right now. I just think he's very underrated at this point. He's kind of a meme for whatever reason. I mean, he's just a big guy. He gets critiqued a lot because of his injuries, but I don't know. I think that he's severely underrated at this point.
At my number 2, I got my brother, my man, my GOAT, JT.
Wait, should we have a discussion for these for this 2-1?
We good.
What you think, Alex? I mean, you were about to get into it, so I mean, if you want to get into it, get into it.
No, that's completely fine. How about we just say who we have at 1 and 2, and then whoever wants to talk will talk. So I got Jason Tatum at 2, and then obviously Luka at 1. How about you, Jamie?
I got JT at 2 and Luka Doncic at 1.
And Nick has something weird.
Yeah, I got Tatum 1B, Luka 1A. It's kind of like a 52-48.
So you just wanted to add someone on the back end for like 14 and 15, basically.
What'd you say?
You just had extra room on the back end for Brendan Ingram and.
Yes, I just wanted to put BI on there basically, but I just Tatum, what he's doing this season is like crazy to me. Like he's 31 points per game.
30 now.
The best.
He's sucking
30.
Can't say it.
Okay, well, before this little cold streak they've been on, he was the best player in the league so far.
I agree.
And, I mean, there's nothing you can say that you cannot disregard that. They had 5 losses before they went on this little, or like maybe even less, and he was looking like the best player in the league at that point. 30-something points per game. Had another guy putting up 26, no defense at all, and he was still winning basketball games. So I just think that really is what puts him above Luka.
I've noticed the defense has gotten a lot better, but for some reason our offense has just completely turned into mush. And it's just, I don't know. We'll see what happens tomorrow night against the Pacers, which, should be a winnable game, but it's also going to be a big test against a big scorer like Tyrese, and then Matthew can heat up.
Buddy going to have a good defensive game.
Buddy Hield, who on any night can either have, 6 points making 2 threes, or you can have 33 points. It feels, depends on how he's going. But so I'm kind of scared for tomorrow night. With that said, Jason Tatum, regarding him, I don't know. We started off the season, best player in the league, over Luka 100%. Just kind of has cooled off. But who hasn't cooled off? Luka. I mean, he just keeps it going, keeps it rolling, averaging, a 32, almost a triple-double. I think he's averaging 38 and 8.
Like Russ, yeah.
Jason Tatum's averaging 38 and 4, which, I mean, he's not supposed to be passing the rock, so I'm not even too mad about that. I mean, it's close, but, yeah, I'm kind of down on Tatum right now.
Yeah. I mean, with the Celtics' previous success, they started off the season the best team in the league, no doubt about it. But now, over the last maybe 10 or so games, they're not looking as hot. They're in a bit of a slump offensively. Defensively, like Alex said, they're looking great still. But the shots just aren't falling. But Luka, on the other hand, his shots have always been falling. The assist totals are insane. He's getting rebounds. It's like when you do a sim on NBA 2K, and when you sim to the end of the season, Luka Doncic is always MVP, averaging 35, 12, and 10. And he's like putting those numbers to life right now. So I think it's without a doubt to me that he's number 1 for MVP, and he's easily the best player, aged 25 and under. Jason Tatum, though, he's putting up fantastic numbers, averaging 34 and 8. So, it's definitely close, but Luka just does things that I've never seen before. So I got to just give him that edge.
So currently with the MVP race, it is like, Luka actually slid out of that. Actually, crazy. I swear
because the team's not as good.
Yeah. Well, they're out of the playoffs.
That's my take on the MVP wise. That's why I don't have him.
Yeah, that's why it's Tatum because modern day NBA with all this great talent, you got to be in the playoffs to get an MVP.
I like. We've also been bringing up the argument of what if this player was on this team. So what if Luka was on the Celtics? I feel like they'd be scoring 200 points a game, and Luka's averages would be insane.
I feel like
I just think Luka's in a bad situation.
Honestly, this is no BS. I promise. Like, I feel like if you put Jason Tatum on the Mavericks with Christian Wood and all them, they're way better at defense after that. Jason Tatum is better at playing off of other guys, so I feel like he could get Christian Wood, 20 points per game. Jason Tatum is like Kevin Durant. You could put him on any team in the league, and he could average 25 points per game. No,
I think he could average 25, but at the same time, I don't think the Mavericks get any better because Tatum, he's not getting that defensive star, that he has with Marcus Smart. He's not getting the same level of talent to play off of as if Jaylen Brown or Al Horford. So I don't think the Mavericks improve record-wise with Tatum. I think Luka, just because of how good of a rebounder and passer he is, they lose a lot of playmaking in losing Luka and bringing in Tatum. So I think they honestly would get probably worse.
Really worse?
Because you're losing so much playmaking. Like, who's the best playmaker on that team now? Spencer Dinwiddie? That's just not going to cut it.
I agree. I don't know. I mean, this is the tightest MVP race since, Russell Westbrook, Kawhi, and James Harden.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just
had to bring up Westbrook.
No, I mean, that was the tightest race in the last 5 years, bro. Nothing else has been as tight as that.
I wonder
beating Jokic has been really good.
Yeah, but compared to Russ and Harden, bro.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Let me look up the current NBA MVP race.
I think Giannis should.
No, I saw like a poll, and it had Luke. It had JT at 1. It had
Giannis at 2. Jokic at 3. He was previously number 4. John Morant at 4, previously number 5. This is from NBA.com, by the way, guys. Kevin Durant at 5, previously number 7. Then Luka at 6, tied at 6.
KD's crazy that high.
Tied with Luka at 6 is Zion at 8. There's Joel Embiid 9. This top 10. So I was saying the last few. Steph Curry at 9, which they'll obviously drop off now. And then also this guy will also drop off. Anthony Davis at 10. Let's discuss this real quick while we're here. I mean, we got a few minutes.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I mean, I think
dissing Luka. It's crazy.
To me, I think, I agree with that. Luka is definitely top 2. I mean, maybe if you want to give the edge to Giannis a little bit, you can, just because of, they're the second best team in the NBA.
They're the first, they're the number 1 seed in the East now.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. They're the best team in the NBA right now. They got the best player. And despite Giannis not getting this MVP accreditation for whatever reason that he doesn't,
it's number 1 in the league.
He's still the best player in the NBA. He's like LeBron James. He could win the MVP every single solitary year. Mm-hmm. But, obviously they're not going to do that. But, I mean, I also think to an extent, I don't think KD should be that high. He could be like – he shouldn't be top 5. They've had a very easy schedule, and I think that the wins that they've been having has been the reason that they're putting him even in the same breath as Luka Doncic, which is just kind of disrespectful, honestly. But like if Luka had, played, I think they played the Magic, Pistons, and Pacers for 2 games straight, each of their 8-game win streak. So I think you
cannot hate on the Magic, bro. They just wiped the Celtics twice.
Yeah, but
I feel like they only own the Celtics though. I feel like every game you played against the Magic, they've been really close, except for the last few. They've been killing you.
In the past years, since ever I've been a fan, they've been a tough matchup, but
I feel like it's always been the Celtics, though. That's the only team the Magic can test with. It's weird.
And OKC.
Yeah. Well, that's just 2 bad teams.
And then Sadiq Bey, who's averaged 40 points a game on the Celtics over his career, which is crazy. John Morant at 4 makes sense. Nikola Jokic at 3, he is playing a little bit. Hey, Jamie, he is playing a little bit better, 25, 10, and 9. Where at the beginning of this
season, but it ain't Luka.
Man.
Oh, I agree. Luka should be top 4.
Top 2.
I disagree with the point where record matters a lot. Nick made this point 5 minutes ago. I didn't really say anything on it, but I completely agree. In this NBA where there's guys like Shea averaging 31 points a game on a 13 seed, there's just so much talent from 1 to 15 in the records that you got to be a top team.
8 seed.
Yeah, you got to be a playoff team.
You got to be out the play-in. Honestly, if we're being honest, you got to be a top 6 seed.
I agree. Yeah, you should really. Yeah, I agree with that. Like if a guy's averaging 25, 10, and 10, and he's like the 3rd seed, but then Luka's averaging 30, 12, and 12, I'm going to give it to the guy averaging 25 or even 8 and 6.
I just don't know how that's Luka's fault though, because he's not the one building the roster. He's making everybody on that team better, but it's just they're not winning games because he doesn't have that talent around him.
I don't agree though. I feel like they have a pretty good roster. Like in the East,
they do have a pretty deep team.
It's Christian Wood and JaVale McGee is not a starting center.
I agree, but Christian Wood, I think
Spencer Dinwiddie.
But you had Jalen Brunson last year, and he was killer. And then they get rid of him, and now they're worse. I mean, you get rid of, your number 2 guy in Jalen Brunson. He's never had a great forward to play off of, like a small forward. He had Porzingis, but Porzingis wasn't great. And now his bigs are JaVale McGee and Dorian Finney-Smith on the starting lineup. Like that is just not good enough for Luka Doncic. He should definitely. He should.
And if Wood was starting, I feel like he is a 4 in today's game. He would be a 4 no matter what. He's not good enough on defense to be a center. So I don't know why JaVale McGee and him don't just run that.
Yeah.
If I'm Jason Kidd, I'm running Luka, Reggie Bullock, Dorian Finney-Smith, Christian Wood, and JaVale McGee. That's my end of the game lineup. You know what I'm saying? That's what's going to win you ball games. You got grit and grind. You got shooting. So I don't know.
Yeah, and a part of that is also Jason Kidd. He's not putting out great lineups. He's never been the most fantastic coach in the world. So I just don't think it's Luka's fault that he's doing everything he can to get that team wins, but the talent is just not there for him. So I don't think it should be a hit against his MVP candidacy. Because they're not winning games. It's not his fault. He's still averaging 12 assists. He's doing everything he can.
I agree with that to like an extent. He's definitely top 2. I think it's disrespectful to have him out of top 2.
Exactly.
You see Kemba drop 37?
Crazy.
Yeah. If Kemba could come out and average, 12, 13 off the bench, 5 threes a game, or 5 threes a game, 2 threes a game, they should be a lot better. I feel like what?
He has no drip though.
Yeah, that's fine. He don't need no drip.
He wears a headband and the number 39. Like, who does that?
That's all good.
That should be a crime.
That's the best Charlotte Hornet of all time.
Definitely.
Until LaMelo ends his career.
We'll see if he. I mean, Kemba Walker is the leading, I think, assister and points guy. So
he's got leader in points.
Not that hard to do.
Yeah. You're right. But especially for LaMelo, who's more of a playmaker than Kemba was, I feel like he'll get those assists before he gets those points.
Yeah. I agree.
All right. Are we ready to roll?
I think we've said what needs to be said.
I think we're all good. So, with all of that being said, thank you all for tuning in to WVUA 90.7 and the Full Court Press Podcast. We will be back next week with our predictions for what the NBA will look like over the next 5 years. Woo! This is Jamie, Nick, and Alex signing out. Peace.
See you guys. And Merry Christmas. And Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah.
And all the other holidays. Happy holidays. We love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Peace out.
WVUA FM, Tuscaloosa.